The prophet Isaiah proclaims in chapter 41, verse 10, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be frightened, for I am your God. I have sustained you, also have helped you, also have stayed you up with my triumphant right hand." This was one of the first verses I memorized when I was a teenager. I found this verse to be a source of comfort for the fears I carried growing up as I tried to figure out who I was in this huge world. You see, in those moments, it was a reminder that I wasn't alone with my fears, that somehow, even if I couldn't see where, God was present with me. And so this verse became a source of comfort for me. And not much has changed since then, as even now, decades into my walk with God, I still carry fears inside of me. Fears for my children as I wonder what will be the condition of creation that I pass on to them. Financial fears of, have I really saved enough back financially if my family would face some type of medical tragedy? To be honest, this list could go on, as even though I have turned to this verse multiple times over the years, I still carry fear inside of me. So I want to ask this morning, what about you? What fears are you carrying inside of you today? In Scripture, fear is referenced over 300 times. It comes up a lot. And in a lot of those occasions, it's similar to this reference in Isaiah 41:10. It's a reminder to not fear, that God is here with us. And with all these references, it can almost feel like that maybe as people of faith, we're not supposed to have fear, but I don't think that's what the writers intended. You see, I think they kept reference to this because they wanted to remind their community and followers that even when things didn't look so great, to have hope, that God was present in their midst. After all, even Jesus, I think, had moments when he was fearful. Or at least that's how I read the Garden Gethsemane scene where Jesus is praying alone by himself, asking God if it's okay to remove this cup. But in the end, let it be God's will. So I think the real question for us as people of faith then becomes, what do we do with our fears? Because it's part of being human. U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt stated, "It is my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself." I think there's a lot of wisdom in this quote because I think Franklin Roosevelt recognized that fear, when it overwhelms us, can consume us. And I think you can find that going on in all places of our society today, as fear often turns language into a language of stereotypes expressed to why these people should be left out and why this group of people should be left in. Fear has this saying that maybe this group doesn't deserve to be at the table. And fear has a tendency to turn situations that are shades of gray into black and white, right and wrong, with little nuance for anything in between. Fear has the ability to paralyze us when it becomes too much. And so I wonder, I think perhaps one of the ways that we can right now lean into the presence of God is to be a people who do not let fear get the best of us. What if instead of perpetuating fear by posting and retweeting memes meant to play on people's emotions, we, the church, became known as the community which looks fear in the face and doesn't let it get the best of us? What if we became a place in our society and in our community where people can come share their fears and be reminded they don't have to face them alone. Imagine for a moment what this might do to alleviate some of the present discord we are experiencing in our society today.